Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the new Marvel comic film Doctor Strange. In Doctor Strange, you guys, this is a part of Phase 3 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and he is a surgeon who is known for operating, numerous forms of surgery at the hospital that he works at. And one day, while he's off to a hospital event of some kind, Dr. Stephen Strange gets involved in a car crash, which has hurt his ability to perform any more operations over the course of his professional career. He looks into medicines, he looks into surgeries that people above him can operate on his hands for, and hopefully get his hands back in working condition again. After reviewing his options and figuring out that there really isn't a lot of options available to him, and not only that, but the probability of him pursuing the career that he once had is very unlikely now that this condition has happened to him. So he starts looking into things that a lot of foreign countries can offer. And one of them that he finds out about is one that a character named the Ancient One offers. And it's a way of becoming a sorcerer. And obviously, they don't tell him right up that he's going to become a sorcerer, but they teach him ways that can teach him to find ways to take his soul from his body and make his soul live on its own, and that he doesn't have to have his body all the time to be able to pursue his own soul, and to be able to pursue parts of his body, such as his hands, like he wishes to have, and be able to use those again the way he remembers using his hands. And, so he goes through the Ancient One's ways, and, over time he learns and he practices, and he starts to master the way of a sorcerer, and he is now along the same league as the Ancient One, and a character played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, Mordor I think is his name, who also has learned the way of a sorcerer as well. And while this is happening, they have to deal with another sorcerer who's on the rise, who's evil, who intends to mess with the space-time continuum and so forth, who has secrets about certain characters that we figure out over the course of the film. And Doctor Strange himself takes on this man, so that way this guy does not mess with the space-time continuum. And he's played by Mads Mikkelsen of Casino Royale fame. So overall, guys, I really like Doctor Strange a lot. I would go so far as to say is I think this is one of the better Marvel films we've had in quite a while. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Marvel film. I would say, the original Iron Man, the original Avengers, the first Avengers movie, and probably Captain America 2, Winter Soldier are probably my three favorite Marvel films at the moment. But I would say this film is probably in the top six somewhere. Maybe not the top five, but certainly the top six somewhere. I really did enjoy it a lot. I liked how original and refreshing this film felt. And I liked how risky this was for a Marvel film. It felt very it was a superhero film that didn't really feel like a superhero film. They tried to make it more about sorcerers and philosophy and the universe and alternate dimensions and all these things that are very new for the Marvel universe. And I think that's something that really helps this film a lot. So, for my positives and negatives of Doctor Strange, the visuals in this film are absolutely amazing, and I think they're some of the most original visuals I've seen in a really long time for a film. We get to see alternate universes and the way of the gods and mythology and um, things that kind of make the universe the way it is, and how creation has started and how it's still going and how certain forms of creation are dying. It's just a very original way to show visual effects in a film, and they're very amazing. They feel very high tech. There's very few moments in this film where I feel like I'm looking at something on a computer that was done visually for this movie, and I really feel like I'm watching something that is playing out in real life the way that Dr. Stephen Strange is seeing it. So, as far as visuals go, this film is absolutely top notch. Definitely one of the best visual films of 2016. And like I was saying earlier, I think another positive I have for this film is it truly is a breath of fresh air for the Marvel Universe. We really have not seen a Marvel film play out like this. I really feel, even though the structure is same, where something bad happens to somebody, he learns a special power, he uses that special power to defend Earth from bad guys. We've seen that. That's pretty typical for a superhero film. But the fact that, this is more so about sorcerers and more so about trying not to mess with the space-time continuum and trying not to mess with alternate universes and learning how things are the way they are, and how philosophy kind of started, and how the universe is the way it is and things like that. So I liked how it really felt refreshing for a Marvel film, and I just really can't praise it enough for just how different that is for a Marvel film. They really did try something different here, and they really benefited from it, I thought. And like I was kind of briefly going over earlier, I like this film's sense of spirit. It's a very spiritual film, and I love its sense of philosophy. It has such a neat way of talking about how one can heal themselves and how one can mentally come over something without their body being responsible for the recovery. And I really like how the film talks about how us as people, we always expect our body to do something, our body to be in shape for this thing, or our body to be um, the source of our abilities and our skills and so forth. And I like how this film took time and kind of took a more philosophical approach and said, it was more along the line of a Buddhist kind of thing of, we really have to find the middle way. We have to find ways to spiritually master a craft and spiritually let the soul take over and let the soul learn that skill and so forth to truly master said skill. So it's not just about our hands or our feet or our legs or our head or our muscles doing all the work. It's really about mastering said craft by truly understanding it and mentally being prepared to do so for it as well. And I also thought this film had a great cast of characters and great casting as well. There was a lot of controversy with this film with Tilda Swinton playing the Ancient One, since in the comics it's an older Asian man as the Ancient One. And I liked how different it was. I liked how, in a way, the casting was appropriate for this film because the film was about going against expectations and going into something because there's even a scene where Chiwetel Ejiofor says to Doctor Strange, forget everything you know, because everything you do know is very different than how things really are. And I liked how the film really lets us get to know the characters, and it really has like I said, great sense of casting. Like I said, it goes against the expectations, and I think the film is ultimately about going against the expectations. So in a way, the casting fits the story, and ultimately everything works out. So great cast and a great cast of characters for this film. And also, I liked how this film, even though it was a superhero film at its core, it really is about the sorcerers, and I really like that. I think that's very refreshing for a Marvel film. It definitely is a more so a fantasy or science fiction kind of approach for a Marvel film. And like I said, that's the biggest thing I can say about this film. It's just how refreshing it feels, how different it feels. And I just loved how it was more so about the sorcerers than it was about the superheroes. But in a way, these sorcerers are being superheroes, so at its core, it still is a superhero film. So that's something I really like about this film. And I also like this film's sense of humor. It was said that they had to do reshoots of certain scenes because the sense of humor kind of fell off, or they didn't really use any humor for any certain scenes in this film. But I liked how they really went back and added a sense of humor to the film. I think it really helped the film out. It gave Stephen Strange a better personality, a more interesting personality, a more relatable personality as well. And I think that works out for some of these other sorcerer characters as well, like Chiwetel Ejiofor, like Tilda Swinton. Um, I think Benedict Wong is his name, who played the character who was kind of the keeper of the library and things like that. Um, I really liked how they added a sense of humor to the film that has always worked for the Marvel Universe, and it also works for a Doctor Strange film as well, as it turns out. For my negatives of Doctor Strange, I really don't have a lot of them because, like I said, I really did like this film a lot. But for my negatives, I felt the villain that Mads Mikkelsen played in the film. I liked the character. I liked when he was on screen. They did talk about his motivations and so forth. But his screen time felt very limited to me. I felt like they didn't give him the screen time that was necessary to flesh his character out the way that Stephen Strange and Mordor and the Ancient One and even Rachel McAdams' nurse character had. I felt his screen time was very, very limited, and for him to be fleshed out as he needs to be for this movie, we need to give him more screen time. I think that's something that was necessary for this film. Another negative I had about the film is there's sometimes a story or scenery structure issue, and what I mean by that is because these are sorcerers and they can go to different dimensions and different places at any time they wish, but as a result, at one moment we're in this ancient temple, and then suddenly we're in New York City, and then suddenly we're back at the hospital that Doctor Strange works at and so forth. There's just a lot of moments where it jumps back and forth a lot, or it randomly shows up at a place without any form of explanation of why that character is there. And like I said, I understand that's a sorcerer thing, and they have these ways of transferring to these places, at a with a quick little hand gesture and so forth with their powers. But as a film, there is a lot of story and scenery structure issues because of that, because they can go to these places at such a quick instant. And then my last negative of the film, and I really can't get into too much because I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen the film yet, but there is a part of clothing that Doctor Strange wears when he has his iconic outfit in the movie, and there's a part of it that they use quite often in the film as comic relief. And for those who see the film, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. But when they do that, like I said, when he has the signature outfit that he needs to be the Doctor Strange from the comic books that we know and love, they do use that clothing as comic relief, and it got old very fast for me. It really didn't work. It was kind of cutesy and fun at first, but then they kept doing it, and after a while, I really got sick of the joke. Even though I like the sense of humor in this film, this article of clothing that they use as comic relief really got old for me really fast. But I am going to give Doctor Strange a 9 out of 10. I think it is one of the better films I've seen in 2016. It's not quite Zootopia good. I think Zootopia is probably one of the better films I've seen so far this year. We've still got quite a few bigger titles coming out, so obviously I can't claim Zootopia as my favorite film of the year or anything, or even this one. But I think it definitely is worth your time and money to see this film. If you like Marvel comic films, definitely give this film a shot. I would even say if you like spiritualism or philosophy, I think this film's worth a shot just because it goes over very interesting things. And they really do have an interesting cast of characters here that they have a great cast playing them. So I highly recommend Doctor Strange. It was very good. 9 out of 10 for me. I highly recommend it. Probably one of Marvel's better films in quite a while.